Welcome to the Profitable Farmer Podcast, where it's all about increasing the profitability of your farm by working smarter, not harder.
G'day and welcome once again. I hope that this early start to 2020 is treating you kindly, and that many of you are getting time at the beach or time water skiing or time with friends and family over January as we rest and recover, hopefully, and get ready for 2022. This is a really important time of year where you can set down a really strong operational plan and strategic plan to make the most of 2022 and really set your business up to achieve all that is possible in this new season. Make the most of this time, January, February, to make sure that your business plan, your operational plan, and that your family and farm teams are all aligned to a common plan. Take Control program is something that we're promoting at the moment. And we believe, and the feedback we get is overwhelming about the quality of its training and the way in which it helps businesses like yours set down really strong strategic plans and then implement on them week on week, quarter on quarter. So in this podcast, I'm delighted to interview Ben Taylor, who went through the Take Control program and has applied the learnings, the entrepreneurial training, the mindset training, the strategic planning, the team alignment and family alignment piece. It's had a major impact on him. It's had a major impact on his business and his team. And importantly, it's actually helped them achieve a stronger succession outcome for their family, which I think is absolutely incredible. Like Jack Owen in my last interview, Ben Taylor has applied these practices, these principles impeccably, and is such a great example of what can be achieved if you actually put the CEO hat on and actually take control of your business and actually set down strategic plans to genuinely move your business forward. Enjoy this interview with Ben. Ben, thank you for your time, and I hope this serves as real inspiration for you as you set down foundations to make 2022 perhaps your best year yet. Thank you and enjoy.
Ben is in southern Queensland, and I think, I'm not sure exactly, is it third or fourth generation, Ben, but you're part of a sort of a scaled family farm, and I can't wait for you to share your story. It's a different story, but equally compelling. Ben and Kate did Take Control probably 3 or 4 years ago, Ben. And again, like Jack, the way in which Ben in particular has applied what he's learned and the impact it's had on his large family business is significant. So, Ben, thanks for your time from a holiday in Mooloolaba post-harvest.
Oh, thanks, Hutch. Thanks for asking me and including me. I feel honoured, really. And so, yeah, hello, everyone. I was you 3 years ago.
And where were you 3 years ago, Ben? How did you describe where you were?
Yeah, like you said, Hutch, we're different to Jack, but I mean, every business has got their challenges, don't they? They're different. So we had a family farm, being my younger brother, my mum and dad, and dad was a third generation farmer. So it's my brother and I, fourth generation. We were really fortunate that we had a really well-run technical farm. Dad's always been very conscious of the way his farm's presented. Maintenance is key, crucial. Farming was done well and on time. So we've grown up in that environment. So where we were, I suppose our challenges, Hutch, were certainly managing the personalities. We were clashing a little bit, which I'm sure a lot of people will resonate with. I was, so to put it bluntly and quickly, I was one I certainly enjoyed being in the office. I realised that was important for business, including agriculture, to really have somebody in control there. My brother loves being out in the paddock. My dad's an ex-motor mechanic, similar to Jack. He did a trade and he's a motor mechanic, so that's important to him. So we all had very different skill sets, and we probably weren't managing that well. It's easy to say that now, Hutch, but in the moment, we didn't know that. So that's certainly what we've got out of Take Control, yeah.
Ben, how hard was that? 3 strong personalities, probably all with very different views, and you haven't even mentioned, your mum and Kate. Everyone's opinions valid, but very different views. Lots of families are not aligned and have different thoughts on what we should be doing and how we spend our time. I get a sense that was your reality, right?
Yeah, no, that was our reality, Hutch, and my wife was the in-law, so she was the passenger. Certainly not one to rock the boat, and hence why we got on board. It was at a time where I've got a young family, a wife that I've been married to for 10, 12 years at the time, so it was her time to be more included in the business. My mum has certainly been very involved in the business technically. She loves driving tractors and still speaks of it. So, big personalities. It took, the terminology, it takes a bus driver. So I put my hand up to be the bus driver. A lot of uncomfortable moments. Prior to Take Control and Platinum Mastermind, I wish I had have taken on this journey far sooner, because it certainly would have helped me be better prepared for the right time for the big word succession and transition to occur. I think it's a really great tool to help people manage that. So
Jack, so Ben, could you just give us a snapshot where you farm and what enterprises you run, just so that everyone's got that background as well?
Yeah, so we farm on the Western Darling Downs. We're about an hour and a half west of Dalby, 2 hours north of Gundawindi. We're a dry land operation, broad acre. So we grow wheat and chickpeas in winter and sorghum and cotton in summer. We have a small amount of irrigation that we tend to grow our cotton in. We're not a large scale by any means, but I've certainly come to realise, which again is a part of this journey, how fortunate we are to have what we have. There's Jack being a champion, starting with nothing, and I was very lucky to have what I had. Probably wasn't aware of it fully, and now appreciate that a lot more, especially as our business has become more successful. Yeah.
I think, like Jack, you launched into the tune-in piece around mindset. How important is that gratitude piece and seeing what we have and appreciating it as part of getting our mindset right?
Yeah, massive. And Jack, he spoke to it there. Take control of you is key. It's module number 1 for a reason. So whether that be physical, your health and well-being, and then getting your mindset right. I mean, mindset's a word that we hear a lot now, and it gets thrown around. It can mean many different things to people, but I tell you what, once you start using and being aware of different language, and gratefulness is obviously the next one. There's so much that we can be grateful for. We're just not aware of it, and all of us feel like we're hardly done by at times, but we're all very privileged. And so to be able to even have the conversations about, a BHAG of what was Jack said, feeding 1 billion people, or mine is you'll see it soon. That's a privilege, and we're very fortunate to be there. So I certainly am more grateful for many, many things, and it can be small, large, and they're popping into my mind every minute of the day because I catch myself being aware of it now.
Awesome, Ben. Thank you. One of the mindset shifts I feel like we've seen you make, mate, is from being a farmer to being a CEO of a growing farm business. And you made the decision to be the driver of the bus and in the office and the CEO of the project. How big a mindset shift was it for you to go from, I'm just a farmer to I'm the CEO of a farm business?
Yeah. It's one I still actually I'm being challenged on even now, Hutch. Like, Yeah, so personally, I was always challenging my poor old dad and my mum, and in a lot of their technical thinking and their habitual ways, which was never their fault. It's just the way it always was. So I was always challenging that. That created conflict at times, but we still always worked it out. They obviously became aware of the importance of that through the support of our network of support, whether it be an accountant, a financial advisor, a bank manager. They were certainly encouraging me and clarifying that with mum and dad, the importance of that. So I was fortunate that my mum and dad did allow me to take control of the office. It was a big leap for them. It's easy to compare myself to my brother, who's technically working, does the big hours on the tractor. I'm in the air-conditioned office, not seen as very important. That was a 4 or 5 year battle. I still battle with that a little bit, right, even now when I'm on holidays, Hutch. But I've learnt to accept that that's the position I'm in, and my family now know through our communication networks we have now that that's my job, and Sam's and our workers' roles are what they do and what they do best. So we're all comfortable now.
But then jumping forward today, how aligned is your family? What is that communication rhythm that you have introduced based on what you've learned through Take Control? And even, would you mind sharing how succession has played out where, that was a hard conversation 3 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah, really hard, Hutch, and it's not going to be easy for most. So I suppose where we were at. So repeat, what was your first question, Hutch? Because I come to succession last. What was?
Yeah, that's right. So just where are you at today in terms of how aligned your family is compared to where you were?
Yeah. So I suppose the first thing I'd say to that is, which I spoke to there before, ourselves being grateful and aware of what we actually currently have. So that was a big step for my mum and dad. So they are now very comfortable and are happy with where they're at and what they have. So they're retired. So they've exited the business. They're now far more comfortable with their financial position. My brother, which we used to lock horns with as a family, now feels very comfortable knowing that he's an important person in the technical farming side of the business. He loves operating machinery. That's what he does best. And so as a result of clarifying our roles and understanding our roles, and again, putting it on paper, making it formal and speaking to it, has helped us just, mesh together as a family so much better. And as a result, business decisions are made with less emotions, more clarity. We could go about our day-to-day business more simplistically because, we don't meet every Monday, but we meet most Mondays when we can for a weekly review, a weekly meeting to sort out the week. So there's a lot more harmony, and just, harmony, I should say, in the family as a result. And we're all very happy and very lucky.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. And we recommend that 2-day planning retreat off farm. We recommend a quarterly planning day. We recommend weekly meetings, as you've just touched on, and then even a daily rhythm to launch your day and to make sure we're making the most of our time and implementing on, our clarity action plan. How much of an impact has a communication rhythm across the year like that had in aligning your family to a common goal?
Oh yeah, I mean it's crucial. It's everything about a good, strong business. Communication is where everything breaks down. If we're not communicating people are bitter and twisted. If they're not right now, they're going to be in a week's time, an hour's time, a year's time, or 10 years' time. And join that up with planning, then, you know, if you're doing a lack of planning and a lack of communication, then it's a recipe for disaster. So the importance of it to create clarity, Hutch, is critical. And you know, we're not perfect. I'm not painting a perfect picture here. It's something that we chip away at and work our way at all the time. It needs to be frequent. You can't park it. You can't learn this on a 12-week take control program and park it. You know, it's got to become a habit, which Jack spoke to there before about his morning routine. The importance of that is critical, and not everyone's going to be on board at first. So as the bus driver, I had to create a way to get people on board. Our meetings won't be like other families' meetings. They will be different because I know the personalities within our business. So I have to manage that, and that's my job, and I've learnt to accept that. It may not be exactly how I want it to play out, but it's the way it needs to play out for the better of the business.
And to your credit, you and Kate just launched in and got on this journey at a time probably when, you know, your brother and your mum and dad might not have thought that was the best idea, but they came on board over time as they saw you take action. And, you know, I love that construct that action speaks louder than words. And, you know, the rest in that is history, Ben. You led by example, and when your other family members were ready to lean in and get on board, they got on board. How much did, you know, these constructs that we're talking about impact making succession achievable for you?
Yeah. So now a lot of learnings from so we I suppose we joined up at a time when that was certainly in our minds about the future for my wife and for Kate and the kids and Sam. The Platinum Mastermind probably course helped me progress through that a lot more. You know, I've only just been I talk a lot about this, Hutch, with people because I've been through it, and people are always wanting to ask the questions, and it comes, you know, it's not all, I made it about my mum and dad. I didn't make it about me. So, because they, as much as they would not agree with that, I had the vision that, and the view that this was important for the legacy that they had created, and we had to make it work. And so I had to park, and I had to park the below the line mentality and mindset of, I want this now and I want this for me. Never going to happen. We're going to lock horns with way too many people. So you've got to consider others, Hutch, don't you? And then gratefulness. You've got to make people aware. You know, others have got to be grateful. I've spoken to you about this before. I speak to others. The older generation has got to be grateful for the younger generation that's committed their time to their family farming business. You know, they did that because they wanted to, but I think gratefulness is a two-way street when it comes to succession. I like to call it transition, Hutch. That's my new word. I don't use succession anymore. So I think transition needs to be a two-way street for gratefulness. Yeah.
Love it, mate. And I love that that negotiation training that I've done, and I think I've shared, talks about you've got to create a win for the other person and put them first, and then you get a win as an outcome. And, you know, I think if we can go into succession caring deeply for the older generation and their well-being and, you know, giving them what they want, then that opens up a completely different dynamic to how succession can unfold. So, you know, I think there's a real responsibility in the younger generation to turn up to succession in that mindset rather than the other mindset, which is how I think most do turn up to it. So thanks for sharing that. That's perfect. Ben, you've also introduced a lot of systems. So there's take control of you, there's take control of your business, which is the planning, then there's take control of your systems, and then take control of your team. you've also done a lot of work on getting systems into your business, org charts, job descriptions, performance reviews, all the good governance practice that good business has. Did Take Control help you getting all that in play and then, building out your team around those systems?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the only reason why we started that, and it started small. I think the first lot of systems that we created was around Phoenix payroll. And so Kate was learning how, because she became more, Dad had always done the books, and then I had taken them over. And Kate was now helping me, spending a lot more time in the office. So we created the systems around payroll, and then the next thing we had a systems around, how to pay super. Next thing we had a system around when and how to pay our lease agreements. We've got a system around. We've got technical systems around planning, summer planning setups, winter planning setups. They're all posted on Slack Hutch as a result of using FOA. We have our own Slack account, which is those that don't know, it's a communication network similar to Messenger, but much more elaborate. So we have different channels, a lot of information stored in there. It just grows. I mean, I've still got a lot of work to do on creating systems, as in probably more strategic, bigger picture systems for the worst case scenario if I was to fall off the hatch. So I've got a yearly chart that not only outlines technical operations, but certainly all the things I do in my office, which is around I've got a lot of Excel spreadsheets that I do monthly. So I have a system, I have a list of once I do my book entries of everything that needs to happen during the book entry process, whether that be grain, inventory, records for endpoint royalties, a statement of a position update. There's a list there. I can't think of them all off the top of my head, but that's been created and put in a little folder. Yeah.
Amazing to hear, Ben. And how much more certainty do you have about how you can expand from here with mindset, planning, family aligned, systems in place, an aligned family and business team? How much more confident are you to buy the next block or to lease the next farm and grow?
Oh, such a good question, Hutch, because that was a huge development for us. So I was guilty myself of below the line negative mindset beliefs around where our business was. Sure, we've all got capital gain in the last 12, 24 months to thank for our far better balance sheet. But when it comes down to creating all those Excel spreadsheets and truly understanding your numbers, and then communicating that with people, putting that on paper, making others aware of you around that. I actually knew that, and I would communicate that with my mum and dad at irregular meetings prior to us taking on Take Control. It was easy for them to quickly, get into the poor me syndrome when a bad season had come about. But if you actually go back and look at the bigger picture of what our balance sheet looks like, this is one bad season. It's not going to affect the future of our farm. We've got a good bank manager. I've got a good, relationship with them. So there's no need to waste any time and energy on that. I mean, of course, that's always in the back of your mind, but how much time you focus on that becomes less and less the greater you understand your business. And certainly the benchmark review, we did a benchmark with the top producer course. That was interesting. Keep in mind, we signed up on the top producer course like many others, in the worst drought history. I did not have $65,000 to pay for a Platinum Mastermind course as the next step, but we decided it was the best thing that we could have done. And And it was. So, when that benchmark review came about, it wasn't pretty. It was horrible. Our profit margins, I didn't even know what a profit margin was. So it was a big red number. Our equity position was okay. It wasn't great, but it's actually, I'll lie, I knew our equity position. I was worried about what Greg was going to say about it. Well, I thought I knew what he was going to say about it, but I was completely wrong. And so all of a sudden, having all that data entered in, getting a view from a man as knowledgeable as Greg, and a review from him, it was a huge shift for us, massive, and that just comes down to knowing your data and knowing your numbers and understanding it and getting the help from the right people.
So you've touched on the Platinum Mastermind Program and that benchmarking and the debrief. Since Take Control, what would you say about how the Platinum Mastermind Program has supported your journey beyond Take Control, Ben?
Yeah, well, I only just tuned into one of your growth sessions there before. There's always a learning. So how I suppose it constantly keeps you in the right headspace. Because like I say, on these short courses that you can do, it's very easy to set and forget, I suppose. But the frequency of the dealings that we have through the Platinum Mastermind over a 3-year program, monthly, quarterly, every day on Slack, whether it be a newsletter from FOA with a great story on one of the Platinum Mastermind members, whether it be a gift that they send because they're generous people, it might be a book. I've actually had to give myself a break from self-help books. I need to just read a good old-fashioned fiction book, actually. The frequency is really crucial. Learning, like I say, with the succession planning process, our whole family doesn't sit down and watch the modules. Our whole family didn't do the Take Control course. It was just Kate and I. That frustrated me, but I then learned to accept it and then learned to onboard it, I suppose, learned to get people. And again, I'm making it sound easy, and I'm some sort of guru. I'm not. I've got to work hard at this, and I can quickly get frustrated at times at my family members, etc. But I then mentally go, oh, that's where my headspace is at. I rein myself back in, and I become aware that that's where I'm heading, and it's not going to help.
2 things, Ben. You've just been such a fantastic contributor to that Platinum Mastermind community. Thank you for that. But also, it speaks to Jack's point that if things aren't going how we want them out there, with family or within the business or whatever, the first thing that has to change is me, isn't it? And, you speak to that again. I think it's a nice theme to see continue through the discussion.
Yeah, I'm certainly guilty of being hard on myself at times, but I think that's just the personality type of the bus driver, I suppose. We expect perfection, and again, I have to not expect that from all team members. I have to let go sometimes. So, it's a hell of a journey, and I think anyone. You're in a great place here, people, with the Take Control course, because it's a really good starter. And some may come away thinking, may have businesses that can handle, that 12-week program is enough. But I tell you what, doing the Platinum Mastermind course once you've done the Take Control course certainly makes that process a lot easier. It can be overwhelming. There is a lot to take on, and like Jack says, Rome wasn't built overnight. You've got to just relax and just take little steps at a time, little goals, even when we go through the cap there, it doesn't have to be a massive big goal that we're all of a sudden going to go out and target. To get people on board, if you've got a group of family members that only want to be in the cattle yards or the sheep yards, we'll start by setting a goal based around the new gate or the new drafting system, and then evolve that at the next meeting into something that's less technical and more strategic. And that would be probably a bit of advice.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to a book that I love, The Art of How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I guess we've just got to learn how to influence change and drive change with the personalities that we have around our business. And Ben, you've done that so well. Mate, I'm mindful of time and that you're on holiday and your family's arriving back for lunch. Do you have time to share your cap?
Yeah, I sure do, Hutch. Yeah, if everyone feels like pushing through, I'm happy to share it.
So I'm going to hand over you just to work right through it, mate. And we've just got a few questions coming through, so we can go to those after you've done that.
Sure. I'll go to the right page. So, I won't go there, Hutch. I'll go straight to here where Jacko was. So again, just like Jack, this has evolved. So we've got extra tabs down here now.
You'll need to click share, Ben.
I haven't clicked share?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I click share. There we go. Sorry. How about now?
Well done. That's perfect.
Okay. Well done, mate. This is cap number, from memory, might be 12 or 13. At least. So like I said before, we actually revisit this every quarter. We use it as our mechanism and a tool to structure our meetings around every quarter. Similar to Jack, company standards have changed. They're similar. We went away from sentences to just really simple points because I haven't done it yet, but our thinking is that we want to, possibly place these company standards around sheds or, maybe a sticker in a tractor cab or something, just to remind people who we are and what we're about. And there's a more descriptive outline on another page that I won't share, but our core focus. So obviously that's something was to go through them. People, growth, pride, positivity. That's important to us. That's what we've come up with. That'll be different for each business, but that's where we're at. Core focus. This actually hasn't changed too much, Hutch. We came up with this one and we're happy to stick with it. Produce high quality, top yielding commodities in an innovative and passionate approach. That's certainly who we are and what we're about. Our 10-year goal, a couple of things there. 10-year goal. So basically we're doubling our business in the next 10 years. Again, I actually struggle with this a little bit because, which most people will now, there's a lot of ifs here. So I'm actually have become quite content with what we've got now. I realise that now through what we have learned. But in saying that, if I've got kids coming home that are wanting to aspire to push the family business harder, then I'm happy to participate that with them. So this is where we're at. KPI 50% net profit ratio. That's a really important number for me, even here and now. Now, I would never have thought, or like I said, I didn't even know what a net profit ratio was until 2 or 3 years ago. So that's obviously keeping 50% of your income as profit, of your revenue as profit. If people think that that's impossible, I can understand where you're at. But last year we made 42% net profit ratio. In 2019, when we first did this, we had a negative 16% profit ratio. So
then this is a 10-year goal, and with technology and automation and all that's coming for us over the next 10 years, why not set that as a stretch target?
Yeah, Absolutely. And what reassured it for me was, I think Greg mentioned in one of his sessions, he mentioned that the top 5% will target a 50% net profit ratio. So I like the idea of being a top 5% producer. So hence that figure. Equity 75%. That's comfortable for us. I mean, to be honest, obviously, if we were to go and make more, borrow more money, depending on the size, we'd be comfortable to drop to 50% equity. But I like the idea of sitting at 75, 80% for our business and our profitability. Return on assets managed is just year on year, consistent, 10%. Again, Greg's thrown that number around in some of his sessions. If you're targeting that number year on year, whether you're in a red hot season or a drought, if you can average a number, something like that, you're a top 5% producer. So some years we might produce 16%, some years we might produce 3 or 4. Again, in 2019, we were a -1, I think, from memory, which I spoke to before, highlighted to Greg and ourselves that actually if we could survive a year like that and still, we made $90,000 that year. He said, you've done well. You've done really well. And you're actually kicking a lot of goals. And so that was a big shift for us, which I spoke to before. A BHAG, Hutch Mindful of Time. So Killara is our home block. From Killara to Condamine. There's a few neighbours that may be online that might not like to hear that, but it's a big goal. It's do I have to have it? Again, coming up with these 10-year goals, I'm not going to lose sleep if I don't have it. If it eventuates, great. But I think it's the process that you're going through right here and right now to possibly achieve that. Because to achieve that, you can't be average. So to achieve that, you've got to be better than average. And so that is what drives me to be a top 5% producer and the best in the game. So hence that one, Hutch.
Well done. And why not?
Yeah.
Why play to the average? Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, Ben. I love the 3-year goals, Ben, just, again, how measurable and how actionable they are. As I said, 3-year goals there on the right. Yeah.
I'm struggling with my little mouse here. So 3-year goals, well, bang, there they are there, a few measurables, some nice average figures. So whenever I do budgets, I use average figures. They're actually not, they're not far-fetched numbers. That's pretty well our average. It's slightly above because obviously you want to target more. So, wheat this year, I've hit that this year. So we did this in September. We're fortunate that we're selling wheat for $430 a tonne. Well, not right now, but it's a better average than that, Hutch. Yeah. And more yield. So.
And congratulations on a record harvest, mate. It's just amazing to hear that you've had that, and a real credit to you.
Very lucky, Hutch. And yeah, what does it look like? This can be different for everyone. So for the next 3 years, I'm wanting to target a minimum 40% net profit ratio, 80% equity. Well, we're already there. I do want some farm scale increase in the next 3 years. If I don't get it, I'm not worried about it. I used to lose sleep over it. I used to spend a lot of time getting frustrated about not owning a block or two around me. I don't anymore. And I could speak to that for a long time as to why that's occurred. But strong team with our full, it's important for me to have obviously the right work environment and the right employees. It's critical for that for us to be a top 5% producing organisation. We need the right people. The next 3 years, farm valuation of that. Farm loans are sitting at about that. For now, I've come to a real focus for us is off farm investments. So building off farm wealth. Probably been lucky that that has been a little bit of a habit in our family anyway, so it's not new to us. But now that mum and dad are fully retired, we're really focusing on our own business, and it's not in this. It's in this cap here, but not highlighted here. We're actually creating a company portfolio as well, which is one of our strategic. I suppose Hutch might be a good time to go to a different page, which is our. Sorry, Hutch. If you want to ask something, butt in, mate. I'm just mindful of time for you as well.
I'm happy, mate. Just keep moving through this. I think it's just, again, another perfect example.
Building off farm wealth, for which you'll see here is number 2 here in the 12-month goal. So our 12-month goal was to create a company, a Kalara farming investment portfolio. We've sort of been doing this anyway, some years insuring crops, some years not, and directing those funds to our private share portfolio, probably more mum and dad's than ours. But now I've just created, as of a month ago, a Kalara farming portfolio as cover for hail insurance, or, a step in to pay stamp duty on a property purchase, or it might be to to buy an aeroplane for my for my life goal of flying. It's just those sort of. It's just a security blanket for the business, I suppose.
But we're in the game of managing risk, and it seems like that's a significant part in your risk management strategy, is having that buffer through that portfolio, Ben. It's a masterstroke.
Yeah, definitely, Hutch. Yeah, at the risk of waffling on, it is definitely my thinking. And again, that was, money doesn't have to be tied up in land, in farms. That I suppose that's a shift for us. There's a lot of really successful businesses out there already. I know that have got significant share portfolios. So well done to them. There's many that don't. So we've made that shift to really focus some free cash flow into that over the last sort of 3 to 4 years, and from my mum and dad's retirement. And that's been a longer process than that, obviously, but yeah, we're becoming aware of the importance of that, Hutch, through the transition process. And so our goal is, as our current family, is to create more than enough off-farm wealth now while we're young. Makes a lot of sense, but people don't apply it for retirement, so that when that transition phase occurs for the next generation, it's just a whole lot more simple.
Yep. That's brilliant that you're getting into that so early. And it speaks to where your focus is as a CEO now, Ben. A lot of this thinking can't happen in the paddock or in the tractor. But now that you've freed up time to focus on the bigger, higher value priorities for your family, look what's turning up and look what you're creating. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I suppose that's another thing out of the state control, Hutch, is the stop doing list. That's a pretty good one.
Great point, Ben.
So I wrote down all the things I did, and I wrote down all the things I needed to stop doing. And that then comes down to your org chart, who's going to do that role. So it's a process that you go through take control. Hutch, that's
awesome, mate. That's awesome. So that's a great place to start for people. If this looks overwhelming, again, this has taken Ben 11 iterations or more to get to, and I think it's just such a great example, again, of a really strong clarity action plan and a really strong disciplined approach to communicate and implement as a family. But a great place to start is that stop doing list. What are all the things, having seen what Jack and Ben have shared, that you need to stop doing so you can free up time to be focused on higher payoff tasks? It's a great point, Ben. Your third page is, here we go. Yeah, so this is your third page. This is getting down to...
Okay, so that's just the 90-day rocks cut, page 3, which is just allocating, the jobs that need to be done for the quarter, Hutch.
Great.
Probably, and everyone's, depending on the stage of your business, everything's different. Everyone's different. Some of these might be really technical. Well, we try not to keep these too technical, but, if it's property development, it gets thrown in here. Kate, one of Kate's jobs is on getting on board with the Safe Ag Systems app. She's done that. That's not where some businesses don't need to be at that point right now, but that's where we are. So hence why it's there. But this one might be interesting for you, Hutch. Or for others. I mean, these 2 pages, my list this is a work in progress. My list is a little bit bigger than Kate's and Sam's, but this is a 10-year goal list that we've created for Kalara Farming. Hopefully there isn't any neighbours there because there's a few names there, but I think Hutch, through this whole process, when, like Jack spoke to, it starts with you. And if we're going to speak to transition, I think what's crucial is people actually asking themselves what it is they want. It just has to start there. It may not make sense to you, but it has to start there. And so if I click over to this, which is what my wife and I require and want, and another great takeaway from one of you guys, I can't remember which one it was, but our business, whether it be a bakery or a farm or whatever it is, but to me, our business is a tool to provide the life that I want. So that could polarize some people. And when I brought that up with my mum and dad at transition succession meetings, it did. It didn't sit well with them. But then when you sort of highlight to them, well, it's important for me that I'm with my kids at the school carnival. It's important for me to take them on 2 weeks holiday. I never went on 2 weeks holiday as a kid. We just worked, and I loved it. We enjoyed it. But that's a mindset shift for me, significant one, to really I suppose just enjoy life a little bit more. Just slow down and relax, and actually make sure that you're enjoying the journey and not just be very much stuck in the grind of day-to-day chores.
There's a mindset shift and a myth that we're busting in agriculture, I think, Ben, that it's not the hardest working person that wins. Business is an intellectual sport, and businesses are just vehicles to get you from where you are to where you want to go. And the clearer you can be on what it is that you want to achieve in your lives personally, the more you are able to set down a really clear strategic plan to help you get that done. So it's wonderful that you've extended the cap with a few extra sections to really go deep into what your life goals are and what you guys want to achieve, each of you, through successful business practice. But, mate, I'm really grateful that you're willing to share this so openly with us as well.
Oh, no problems, Hutch. Yeah, happy to. And yeah, I think it's important too. That was one, some of this stuff isn't for everyone. So if you've got people in your business that are literally happy to just be on the farm all the time, well, that's great. But as long as they're aware of where you're at and what you want, and the sooner that information is out on the table and made clear, then the better it is for your business. The sooner you're going to be able to accept that, deal with that, understand why some decisions are made by some personalities within your business.
Yeah.
It comes down to that stop doing list, or what you're good at, what you're not good at, Hutch, and that process is a cracker. I think writing down all the things that you currently do, ticking off what you actually want to do, ticking off what you're not very good at and don't want to do, and then finding the people in your team or outside of your team. Like, you don't have to do your books. It doesn't cost that much money to give someone else the opportunity to do your books. If you don't like doing it, then it's not going to be done well. So outsource it, and you're just one less job that you're going to have on your mind, isn't it? And
Thanks, Ben. So I'm going to ask you to stop sharing, and I might ask everyone just to go to gallery view. So you can kind of click up top right and go to gallery view. It just allows us to round out the conversation. Some comments and some questions coming through, guys. If I can just ask you to give us a couple more minutes. So Jack, if you'd come off mute as well. Dom, thanks for your comment. He's just said this would be the single best coaching call I've been on. Thanks to Jack and Ben for sharing so much. So thanks, Dom, for that feedback. Equally, Scott and Ainsley said, great to know, Jack, that you did it on your own. That's where I'm at in our family farming business too, and I'm really struggling with it. Scott and Ainsley also asked a question, were all your family on board by the time you got to the Platinum Mastermind Program? So, Ben, I think that's a question for you. So let's just bust that up. Firstly, Jack, Scott and Ainsley, I'd love to know what the key takeaways are for you based on what Jack shared. So if you type that in, that'd be great. Ben, a question for you. Were all your family members on board by the time you got to the Platinum Mastermind Program? Or did that coming on board happen after Take Control?
Yeah, that came on after Take Control, Hutch. So Kate and I, my wife and I, did the Take Control program. My brother, my mum and dad did not. My brother, Sam, Kate and I do the Platinum Mastermind course. My mum and dad still do not, and don't. It's just a timing thing. It was not something that at the stage of their life that they were going to do, or probably needed to do. We were sort of in the process of transitioning and succession at that point. So no, they weren't. Interestingly, I get, my brother is he's not participating in the course as diligently as Kate and I. He doesn't watch every growth session. He doesn't watch every call. He certainly he comes to the deep dives. He gets a lot out of those seminars, but he's on board just purely through the process of the learnings from Kate and I and the importance of meetings and communication. And he can see that and understand that. The org charts and the acceptance of what it is that we want in our life and why. So he's on board with that, but he's certainly not as passionate as what, say, I am about completing the course. And that probably would be a pretty similar story amongst a lot of other families, I'd imagine, Hutch, that you can't get everyone on board. But I think someone has to. Someone needs. Now, I'll be honest, I had a conversation with Dad at a heated time where he questioned this. I'd signed up for it. I was running the course. So what's this bloody course that you're damn well doing? $1,650, it's bloody ridiculous. And I said, well, Dad, I never went to uni because you encouraged me to stay at home. This is my uni degree. So I put it to him bluntly. And you know what he did? Well, that's fair enough. I accept that. So, yeah. I suppose you're coming from a place where you're probably struggling to get everyone on board. But I suppose my advice to you is if you can find a way to commit the funds from the business and just have you rock up to the course. If it's just you, that's better than no one by a mile.
Take action. Actions speak louder than words. Just to take action, and others will come along for the ride in their own time. And there you have it, ladies and gents, a second cracking interview with an incredible farming family. To Ben Taylor, thank you so much for your openness and your willingness to share your Take Control journey. It's amazing to hear how you have led that change, Ben, but also how your family has come on board along the way and the impact that's had on your farm business success, how effectively you work together, and even succession. Mate, thank you so much for sharing. And in my previous podcast, again, as part of this two-part series, Jack Owen, well done. So to any one of you who's interested to learn more about our Take Control program and how you and your family can enjoy the sort of results that both Jack and Ben now enjoy, there is a link in our intro to this podcast. Please feel free to click on that, contact us with questions. We'd love to speak to you about how Farm Owners Academy can support your journey and help you create the sort of change that we see Jack and Ben and so many other incredible entrepreneurs and farming families achieving. Thanks again, Ben. Take care, everyone, and bye for now.
Welcome to the Profitable Farmer Podcast, where it's all about increasing the profitability of your farm by working smarter, not harder.
In this episode of the Profitable Farmer Podcast, we take an excerpt from an internal webinar we ran last month with one of our Farm Owner Academy clients. Please know that this is a recording of that webinar in which